1970 called. They want their phone jacks back.
Greetings from Fairfield. We are Richard and Kendra, and we are restoring this cool old Victorian house. We found this old Queen Anne for sale on the internet and decided to buy it. So we moved from the West Coast to the cornfields of Iowa. So join us as we explore and restore this 1896 Victorian mansion.
Hello there. Greetings from Fairfield. Welcome back to the James A. Beck House and the Foyer. So, not sure how to get started here, but we'll start here. Some beveled leaded glass on the front doors. Over here we got our nice big bay window overlooking the porch, stained glass. Some more fretwork. Set of courting benches. Hello there. Hello there. And what we call the wagon wheel, the staircase landing, and this would be the main staircase that goes upstairs. We're not going to go upstairs right now, but we will get there at some point. Some beautiful carvings on the newel post of the staircase with some more bead and barrel trim. And under the staircase is Miss Kendra's secret library. Let's go in and see what she's up to. Hey, honey, what you doing? So we haven't done virtually anything in this room since we moved in. This is pretty much how it was when we moved in. When we moved in, we thought that this mantle was originally. Kind of looks like the same, and but we later learned that it was put in 2002. And prior to that, there was a massive 9-foot tall gold mirror here that had been at the house, at least in this location, since at least the 1920s. We know this because one of our followers on Facebook had commented that her mother was the maid at the house in the 1920s, and that when she came to see the house in the 1970s, her mom wanted to know if the mirror was still in the front foyer. Unfortunately, it is no longer here, and nobody knows what happened to it. It would be really cool to track that down. One thing we did do was we hung up some artwork and our family portrait, my great-great-grandfather Jeffrey, and our family portrait. A little corny, I know, but hey, it's home. Aunt Gertrude. But one of the things we did put in were these really cool push-button light switches, because I didn't move into an old house and be expected to flip a switch like some uncivilized occupant. So before we get into the rest of the video, of this week's video, I want to give a big thanks to everyone that subscribed, and for everyone that gave their comments and suggestions, both positive as well as to the negative Nellies. That really helps us shape the channel. We read through all the comments and give us a good understanding of what people want to see. We want to kind of take this opportunity to tell you what it is that we plan to do and what you will see. And that is, we are here to restore. We're not here to renovate. There are a lot of channels that get those two terms, conflated and crisscrossed, using the word restoration when they're renovating and renovating when they're restorating, and it makes no sense.
You keep using the word. I don't think it means what you think it means.
We're not going to be painting any of the woodwork. So for all those that commented, don't paint the woodwork. We have no plans to paint the woodwork. We will be restoring, not renovating, which means we will be stripping paint off woodwork when we find it. And there is some painted woodwork in the house. But we didn't do it. You're not going to see us knocking down walls or painting plaster or painting brick. We're not going to be doing any German schmear here. And we are, and we watch a lot of channels. I grew up watching this old house, slew of YouTube channels. Two of our favorites, Saving Harrisburg Castle was a big inspiration to how we approach projects here, and love watching those guys restore that castle there. And of course, Caleb over at Second Empire Strikes Back, was like, those guys get it. That's what we're doing here. And it was refreshing to see someone else do what we want to do here. And they were a big inspiration to both starting this channel as well as our work going forward and how we approach our projects here. Speaking of Second Empire Strikes Back, Caleb and his dad actually came to visit the house just a few weeks back on route to central Iowa to pick up some house for his father's Lustron home that they're also restoring down in St. Louis. So it was great to have them here. We didn't really shoot anything with them here, but it was great talking with them, showing them the house, showing them our projects, exchanging stories and between our two channels. Lots of fun. Can't wait to have them back. One of the things we will be doing here is de-renovating, and that is basically removing things that were added to the house between about 1960 and 2020 before we got here that don't belong in an 1896 house, which actually brings us to today's video, as well as one of the funniest things that's happened since we moved in. 1970 called, they want their phone jack back. Every time I'd walk into a room, we had like 2 or 3 of these in every single room in the house. There must have been like 300 of these things. And every time I'd see something like this, I'd find myself having a little Christopher Reeve moment. So one of the first simplest de-renovations I did after we moved in was removing all of the phone jacks from the house. There must have been 300 of these things, from the basement all the way up here to the 3rd floor. When I got to the last one, and I didn't really shoot any pictures or any video because I didn't think much of it. And I'm getting ready to take off this last phone jack and snap this picture because I had a funny idea. I would see a lot of posts online that would have new people buying old houses and posting pictures of some of what I would think would be the simplest things, asking, what is this? And it would be, like a push button light switch or something. And as I took that shot, I thought, it's probably not going to be too much longer down the line when somebody posts this picture wondering what it is. And so I thought, as a little public service announcement and a little preemptive funny strike, I would basically create a little meme about it and post. And at the same time, prove a point that most of the people don't read the entire post. And so I broke it up into 2 paragraphs. Basically, the first paragraph went like this.
Does anyone know what these things might be? We have several of them in various rooms throughout our 1896 house. Previous owners thought it might have something to do with early internet, but I think it dates back much further.
The second paragraph followed with sarcasm in closed brackets. I know it's a phone jack, and I've been removing them from the house, as well as the wiring. The wiring here was a complete mess. This one, which I've already removed, the wiring went up the wall, around the door, back behind the radiator, out a hole in the wall, wrapped around the house, stapled to the siding all the way around the house, down the backside of the house, into a hole in the window of the basement to a junction box where all of the other phones came together, and then with another wire that went back out another window, basement window hole, to a phone junction box on the side of the house that then went out to the pole across the street. There were just wires and phone boxes everywhere. What happens next, I did not expect. Actually, no. The sad thing was, I was right. There were people that didn't know what it was. But then there was a bunch of people, like all in caps, saying it was a phone jack. It was a phone jack. It's a phone jack. There were also people that thought it was also hilarious and then would chime in with their own funny little add-on story to that as well. There were also people that the joke just completely went over their head, and people would then start responding to them as he knows it's a joke. He's literally making fun of you for not reading the post. The word sarcasm is in the post. The post goes viral with something like, I don't know, like over 1 million views and shares and comments on our page alone, not to the countless other old house groups that I posted it to or got shared to on Facebook. It was in the millions. And I was getting emails and private messages telling me how stupid I was, that it was a phone jack. And then it became how stupid and what a moron I was for removing the phone jacks from the house, which then created a second argument. Because then people started saying, well, actually, he's right because Congress passed some act, blah, 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 that would require phone companies to basically start disconnecting and switching to like fiber optics and wireless by a certain year. That's going to vary from city to city and state to state. Then people started posting how the government's going to have to come and pry the receiver from their cold, dead hand. But it didn't stop there, because then, people started arguing about the importance of the landline and all this and that. But what came next, the following day, was just hilarious. The next morning, after the post has gone viral, I wake up to a huge storm that had come into Iowa. High winds, thunderbolts, and lightning, very, very frightening. Took down a huge tree at our town square, just a couple blocks up the street. And lightning had struck our tree on the west side of the property, taking down a good chunk of it that came down and ripped the rest of the phone line from the house.
So, lightning hit this tree of ours, and it went all the way over there.
So you have to play that disco knock on wood.
Knock on wood? There's a disco knock on wood? What is that?
Show me your age without telling me your age.
What are you doing? You're on camera.
When you hit me up like that, I don't even know how to respond to that.
Can't you just stop and take a break and let us, take a breather, since this now took out this line. So now what are you doing?
So after breaking the internet with people thinking I didn't know what a phone jack was.
Yes.
Come closer.
It's much closer now. Go ahead and explain.
So after breaking the internet, I ironically, lightning hit our tree.
Oh my God, it did.
and ripped the phone line from the house.
So then we had to go get a saw to get the rest of it down, and we get back and it's fallen down and taken out the said phone lines that you were complaining about. So now we get to take these ugly wires off the house. But now what are you doing?
They heard my calls. I have to take it out I have to take it off of the house.
You have to take it off the house. What about, well, at least you got it out of the street first.
So I had to cut the line in the middle because it was in the street.
Because it was in the street. So now it's no longer in the street.
Over by the telephone pole.
And it's
where
over,
it belongs.
over by the telephone pole where it belongs. So yes, we have this that we're dealing with.
Pretty funny. But it doesn't end there. I then called the city. And the city said that no one claims ownership of the old legacy phone lines because we no longer have a phone company here. And that I should just take the wire, which was dangling across the street from our house and through the tree, that I should just roll it up and put it out at the end of the pole on the other side of the street. Now that they've all been removed, I don't have to look at those goofy 1970s discolored plastic phone boxes. But I do have to start filling in and repairing the wood, which is another project.